afternoon, one of our present here. I'm Tanisha from MBA department
and try towards achieving it. I, Dr. Pyramid Kaur, Department of Management Studies, would like to introduce our next speaker for the day, Dr. Pawan Soni. Dr. Pawan Soni, an innovation by profession and teacher by passion. He is the founder of Infosix Point, published by Penguin Random House in 2020. The book was one of the 5 shortlisted for 2021 BBLFCK Dalal Best Business Book Award. Congratulations, sir. Apart from being an adjunct faculty at ISB Hyderabad and IIM Bangalore, Pawan is a regular columnist at Mint, Your Story, Entrepreneur, and People Matter. He authors a monthly newsletter which has been in circulation since 2008 and reaches to over 20,000 enthusiasts all over the world. Pawan was the only Indian to be shortlisted for FT and McKinsey Bracken Bogart Award for the Best Business Book of the Year 2016. A round of applause for Dr. Pawan Soni. He has been invited to speak at the TEDx and is featured at one of the 100 Digital Influence T20 by Your Story. Pawan Soni is a gold medalist from MBM Engineering College, Jodhpur, and did his PGDIE from NIT, Mumbai.
So your phone should be in your bag, like my phone is in my bag. So your phone is in your bag, put your hand up. Your phone should superiority in the value chain. Let me take you all back to the history. I have only one slide, so this is the slide. Don't worry, there's nothing coming up on the laptop. You can as well do this. So here's the story. So long back, when pyramids were built, the interesting thing about pyramids is that when pyramids were built, we didn't have wheel. Not the tradition, but wheel. There was no wheel. Wheel was invented after the pyramids were built. Now imagine for a moment, there was no wheel, there was no pulley. Obviously there was no assembly line, there were no cranes, there were no crankshaft. None of these mechanical contraptions were there, and still they could pick up stones which were 1,000 kilos and above on their back and build the pyramids that people can still see after so many years. And then came in the machine. So the first thing that machine took away from us, do we have a marker there by any chance? Yeah, get a marker. We have one marker. Freshly opened marker. So if I look at the first layer that machines took away from us was physical labor. Machines took away a lot of physical labor from us. And then this massive revolution that happened sometime in the 1750s by Mr. James Watt. Do you remember James Watt? Steam engine. So what? James Watt. So steam engine for the very first time took away a tremendous amount of labor from human beings. And there was this almost anarchy that happened in certain parts of UK where steam replaced human labor. And the first reaction whenever machines attack humans, the first reaction is to attack the machines back. And those people who attack these machines back were called nudities. So nudities is a term associated even today with the people who get threatened by machines. They don't look at machines as allies. They look at machines as contemporaries, as somebody who will eat your job away. Machines will eat our job away. Make no mistakes about it. There is no job in the world except maybe of a teacher, which is immune to machines getting invaded. No job in the world. And I'll come to that. So machines took away physical labor from us. It was very painful. Now if I compare you, especially the youth amongst you, all of you are young, but the ones who look like I'm talking. If I compare you with your parents for the same age, who had more physical strength? Why? Because they were exposed to an environment that demanded that kind of physical labor, isn't it? Am I right? They have to walk long distances. Here we prefer lift. They have to really toil for a square meal, and that itself they may not be able to fetch. Now, if I compare your parents with your grandparents who had more physical strength, and then henceforth and so on, the induction goes on, which means with every generation we are becoming physically weak. Is that a fair assumption to make? Which means genetically our mind is becoming sharper, but our bodies are becoming weaker. Which is a very dangerous conclusion to make. Which means if you ever have a child, be rest assured that your child is much more prone to the vagaries of the environment than what you were. Somehow we could survive the ominous virus, but maybe our children may not be able to survive. Which means with every generation we are producing weaker genes. It's a very harsh conclusion. We are producing weaker genes, mind it. The second layer that machines took away, welcome now. 100 rupees. Can you tell them the rule, please? What are the two rules? Phone's in my bag. I'm just kidding. Your phone should be in your bag, sir, ma'am. Yes, that's more like it. It doesn't matter whether they're in the silent mode. You need not put this in the silent mode. As long as it's a good ringtone. Ringtone should be good. That's a deal here. I don't care if it is silent or vibrant. So the second thing that machines took away from us is memory. Memory. Now when I was a kid, still though, but when I was growing up, I could remember 10 phone numbers so far. Or 10 friends. Gender agnostic. 10 friends. Today, it's difficult. Am I right? You don't remember phone numbers, 10 phone numbers. Our own, often it becomes difficult. You would ask somebody to give this call. Now let me test and that is what we call as a short-term memory. We have two types of memories. Short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory is my name. That's short-term memory. And long-term memory is your name. It's a long-term memory. And medium-term memory is your friend's name. That's for medium-term. Okay, so let me test your short-term memory. I'm going to give you my phone number. Okay, and you have to recall the phone number after 3 minutes without writing it. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Is it okay? 2 minutes? 1 minute? That's low balling. 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay? My phone number is 98458 11683. Okay? 98458 11683. If you write it down, no problem, you're just deluding yourself. So the question is that when machines came on, another thing that took away from us is memory. Because the beauty about, don't worry about the phone number, focus on the story. Focus on the story. So when the machines came up, another massive thing that happened was that machines said that, hey, don't worry about memory, I'll take care of it. So memory and then calculation. 37 and 24 is a very tough decision now, isn't it? As tough as 4 minus 3. The point is, whatever our brain doesn't use, we lose. Because our brain is an extremely smart organ. Because think about that for a moment. In this immediate faculty development meeting, what organ of your body is changing rapidly? I'm sure it's not kidney. Unless the food is bad, it's not kidney which is changing, it's not liver. Unless you have plans after the session, it's not liver also. It's not lungs because we are slightly far away from the main road. Which organ is changing? Brain. It's not mind, it's brain. The organ is brain. What happens there is mind. The organ is called brain. Brain is a physical organ. For some of you it might be heart also, which might change. Right? But mostly it is brain. So think about that for a moment. When somebody's organ transplant, now somebody's kidney gets transplanted, if somebody's interested in iPhone, kidneys get transplanted. Heart transplantation happens. But brain transplantation, because if brain transplantation happens, the whole identity is lost. And that is how central the brain is to us. It's very central. This 3.5 pound of jelly, physically they're what we are. And we can boast the same to our children. And they won't care. robot peeling you up to the pulp. So physical labor, fight. Java app there or some Android or some drone protecting you, ain't happening, sir. All of us must have that much physical strength that we should run away. If not fight, practice because you can't offer expectancy has gone up, now bodies are not supporting us. It's a bad combination that nature is offering. So the second thing is memory. What's the phone number?
98458
Oh my god. I didn't tell you my account number there. But the funny part is I don't remember my account number. So much for memory. I don't remember my account. Right? The guy who pays remember. I don't remember my account. That's the memory. So the thing that we are very, very happy to trade with technology is memory. So we can have 6,000 phone numbers, but the moment the phone is gone, we are helpless, isn't it? It's memory. Now we thought that maybe memory is not such a big deal. The big deal is intelligence. We are the more evolved beings than apes and chimpanzees. The bigger deal should be the intelligence. Now let us understand intelligence. What is intelligence? And a good measure of intelligence is what we call as IQ, intelligence quotient. How is IQ measured? IQ measured, this is a formula for IQ. IQ is equal to your mental age divided by your chronological age multiplied by 100. That's what's your mental age? Your mental age is tested by some exercises, which obviously I'll not do here because they'll be grossly embarrassing. And your chronological age is your actual age on the surface of Earth. That's no chronological. So if somebody's mental age is 40 and the chronological age is 35, then the IQ is more than 100. The children typically, when children are administered IQ tests, children IQ test is way high. Because for their age, they are living in a far more complex environment. So they have to act smart. If not be smart, they have to act smart. Every generation, mind it, this is a happy news. Every generation, the IQ goes up by 10 basic points. So your child, if your IQ is say 110, which I hope your child's IQ will be 120 till the child gets married. Now our IQs are very much contingent on the environment in which we are. Average person's IQ in this environment will be 120. There are people like Elon Musk who allegedly has an IQ of 200. 200 means he is intellectually double his physical age. You can imagine all that he talks about on Twitter. Now he wants to own Twitter, so that's a trusty combination. He thought that why not own the damn thing? He has so much of cash with his friends. So that's where the IQ is. Einstein had an IQ of 160, and the person with the highest IQ in the world is at 210. There is a living man in the US. I was watching his documentary recently. People are coming in. 210. That's quite a serious IQ. So I got curious about this man. Then what is his profession? At first instance, you may think that he is a university scientist, if not engineering college professor. And then I was completely zapped when I discovered his true profession. Take a guess. A guy with the highest IQ in the world, which is 210, what is he doing for a living? Yeah, you are close. He is a bouncer in a pub. And he runs a ranch. And he does horse trading. Now, how much more IQ relationship with profession? So, which means that IQ has no implication or has no inkling in terms of what kind of professional choices you will end up making. So, when I was growing up, my parents used to always think that the only thing that matters in my life is my academic score. Only thing. They still think that. That's a funny thing. They still think that. Kitne aaye? Now only kind of connotation of kitne aaye has changed from marks to money. But that's because that is measurable quantity, isn't it? So obviously kitne aaye. So that is where my parents are still stuck. I just talked to my mom on my way. Not the best thing to do, isn't it? When you're driving Bangalore, talking on the phone, not the best combination. I still took a chance. So I was talking to my mom. And you know, they're still rooted there. But when I look at my generation, what we are interested in, and I have this very fundamental philosophy that an average child is a happy child. That's about it. Because any marginal improvement in the performance of negligence on the overall development of the child. So I have a daughter, and I am terribly happy she's an average daughter on academic. I don't want her to be ranked would it have been for the English teacher of William Shakespeare? You should try hard. William, sure man, go ahead. And William tried hard, and rest is a history. So, IQ is gone up. However, in the age of natural stupidity, cannot meet artificial intelligence. So, even only humans are capable of the natural stupidity that we are capable. And let me take your attention back to 1940s. In 1940s, an experiment was conducted. And the curiosity was what grandmaster. So there is a grand who know how to survive next 10 moves. That's about it. So a contest was held. Imagine this side is grandmasters, and this side is amateur players. So amateur players knows the rules of the game, but in a one-on-one competition, they always get defeated by the grandmasters. So their scores will be around 240. So 2,400 will be the scores of grandmasters. Like Magnus Carlsen being one of them, at 2,600, 2,700 is the score that they have. So these people will get 800, 900 type of score. The exercise was very simple. Both of them were shown the chessboard, and the pawns were placed on the chessboard. Okay, all 32 pawns were placed, 32 or less than 32 pawns were placed at strategic locations. And both of them were exposed to the chessboard for 20 seconds. So you look at the chessboard 20 seconds, and then you go to another room, and you will have to rearrange the exact arrangement of the chessboard. It was 100% every time. Which means one could conclude that better memory than them, because I'm just exposed to that combination of that's called that configuration for 30 seconds or less, and I'm able to replicate the exact configuration in 30 seconds later. Now the guy who was performing the experiment did a small tweak in the experiment, and the experimental tweak was that there are certain pawns, or there are certain what we call as pieces, certain pieces in the chess which have to be in certain colored square. For example, the bishop. So there is a dark colored bishop and there is a light colored bishop. Right? In Hindi it is called the bishop. So this guy has to be either one bishop has to be in dark colored square, one bishop has to be in light colored square. So what this guy did is deliberately the experimenter placed both the bishops in the same color square and then took the exposure. They saw 30 seconds, both were super confident, they went back, and this time the accuracy was same. Why? One state in the assembly, their accuracy was equally bad. Why? What happened to their memory? What happened to their memory now? Why did they fail? Because that configuration was not in their memory bank. It was a logically flawed configuration, which means that memory is always context sensitive. Does it make sense to you? Memory is context sensitive. So for example, if somebody knows how to solve a Rubik's cube, the person may not naturally be good at chess. Because Rubik's cube memory is a very context sensitive memory versus that. So what we need to make ourselves and moreover our children whom we can invest our hopes in is to make them context agnostic intelligence. Intelligence should never be context sensitive intelligence. You cannot be intelligent in maths. You cannot be intelligent in engineering. You have to be intelligent. That's about it. Right? So even IQ is taken. Fast forward to 1997. 1997 was a watershed moment in the history of math machine communication. On one side of the table was a man sitting by the name Gary Kasparov. Gary Kasparov is allegedly the greatest annoyance to Vladimir Putin right now, and he's a big critic of Vladimir Putin. He stays in New York. And the other side was a machine called Big Blue from IBM. So man-machine duet. Man-machine. And he was a world chess champion grandmaster by the age of 21. And he reigned it for the highest amount of time. This guy, Gary Kasparov. 5 matches over 1 year was played. And the real reason why he is considered as the greatest grandmaster of the game of chess is that he drew the match with Deep Blue. Deep Blue that can perform 1 million calculations a minute. He could draw that match. And drawing a match is a fiat. It is still okay, but drawing a match is a big deal. Winning would be great. 2.5 on 5, he drew the match. And there was a watershed in the middle. Only 2 more layers which are left. And my contention and my argument to all of you is that let us hold on to those layers. Because if we don't hold on to those layers, we as a species will get superseded by another species. The current competition is between carbon and silicon. We are all carbon, am I right? And what we are creating is silicon. But humans learn from one generation to another generation. They're called genetic mutation. When you mutate from one generation to the next generation. Let me just go back to that PPT mode so that you're not distracted. One generation to the next generation. But machines don't wait for a generation. They don't even wait for a reboot. On the fly, they can quickly learn. So answer this question to me. What's my phone number?
9481167.
What are the 2 question marks? What is it that is uniquely human?
Emotion.
Emotions, very good. Being sensitive, yeah. What else is unique to human?
Creativity.
Focus, creativity, yeah, conscience, ideas, values. I like that. Values. Go ahead. Ethics. That's a great point. Creativity. What else? But machine won't mind that. Average. No worries. Anyways, your relationship is through me. Facebook friends we are. Ethics. It's a great point. Ethics. Now, here's a dilemma that machines would face, which is a Google car. Autonomous car by Google is on a road. And there's a guy, old guy sitting on the back side of the car, who is a millionaire guy, who can afford this. And all of a sudden, 2 kids are chasing a ball and they come in front of the car. Now the tricky thing is that the car has to take a sharp turn in which the car might topple over a boulder and fall down. What will the car do? Should the car kill the owner or should the car kill the children? What should the car do? It's autonomous car, so the car has to think then. On the real time, the car has to think and apply brake or swivel or move the children. What should the car do? So that's an ethical dilemma that the car makers are facing today. What should the car do? Yeah, so the argument of this whole question is applying brake is not an option. It's a great answer, apply brake. It's a genius answer actually, I must say that. Never thought that way. Never occurred to me actually. Apply brake. What should the car do? Tell me, if you are Google engineers who are designing the car, what should be the programming descriptions be? If I take the opposite turn, the probability, the speed at which the car is going, the guy is going to die. This is an old guy without seat belt. The guy is going to die. Reducing the speed, the children may still get moved if you reduce the speed. What do we do? Fly. Honking at the kids is a good option. So, the car always does one thing, the car kills the owner. Children and owner both will die.
Let the owner die, sir. It will
Let the
take
owner
the
die.
turn, sir.
Yeah.
Let the owner die.
Let the owner die. So this is where this is the ethical dilemma that companies are facing. Real ethical dilemma I'm telling you, the companies are facing. Another ethical dilemma. For many years now, the holy grail of all automobile companies has been to reduce engine noise, isn't it? Make cars silent and silent and silent. You know, the gas guzzlers that we had to the cars that you can't make out, the car is on, sitting inside. All of a sudden, 100 years, last 100 years, the holy grail has been to make cars silent and silent and silent. All of a sudden, you have electric cars that are silent. Now the problem is exactly opposite with electric cars. What's the problem with electric cars? Add noise. Electric cars have no noise. Add noise. If I'm walking on the road and there's a car coming from behind me and the car is an electric car, I'm clueless. I'm clueless. I do not know there's no Doppler effect, for example. I do not know the speed at which the car is coming from behind me, isn't it? There's no Doppler effect. There is no sound of the car. There is no proportionality between sound of the car and the speed of the car. So now the problem is exactly opposite. How do I add speed, proportionate sound to the car and make cars noisy?
Revolt has that feature, the electric bike, e-bike. So they have added 4 customized sound to their vehicle.
Yeah, so cars can be another one. And this can be proprietary sound. So the point is that every time you look at these two, and here is my contention, folks, the two things that we need to, and just borrowing from all of what you said. The first thing is creativity. The second thing is not sympathy. Let us understand creativity. The big question that we have is that are intelligent people more creative or are they less creative? Less creative. Then why are we here? Studying. Depends on what? Teacher, circumstances. So what's the relationship between creativity and intelligence? Directly, inversely, no relation. Directly? Inversely, more creative people are less intelligent and vice versa. Take a stance, guys. No relationship? No relationship? There's a relationship? Direct, inverse? No. Okay, good. Let us understand what science has to say. So, first of all, do you think intelligence can be measured? Yes, it can be. There's some people I just told you. Come on. What else was talking about 210? You measured it. Can creativity be measured?
Yeah.
The EQ is not creativity, it's an emotional question. Can creativity be measured? Don't shake your head, say yes, no.
No.
Yes. Now, so here is where we will want to bring objectivity to creativity. While creativity is a highly subjective term, as much as beauty is. Am I right? Beauty lies in the eyes of the same applies to creativity. But yes, creativity can be measured. If I measure your creativity today, would you be interested?
Yes.
Tell me.
Yes.
Tell me, ma'am, would you be interested to get your creativity measured? Depends on you. Now the funny part is, as I said, IQ goes up 10 points every generation. Like your parents had 10 points less IQ than you are, not because they are your parents or anything like that. That's a genetic disposition, and your children will have 10 points IQ more than you for the same age. But creativity is going down with every generation. So that's funny. When children are more intelligent than you are more creative than your children because you created them at the first. Sitting there. You are more creative. Why? So intelligence going up is called as a Flynn effect. F-L-Y-N-N. Nobody's taking notes, so let's not worry about that spelling. That's called Flynn effect. Okay? I'm hoping that your memory is serving you well today. There's hope against hope. Yeah, make notes. That it won't hurt you. Trust me. It will keep your muscles smooth. Nothing else. Make notes. Make notes. Okay, it's a good habit. Take down notes. You jog your memory a bit. And anyway, the notepad is provided by the college, and so is the pen. What's the big deal there? Unless you want to treasure it for the rest of your life and never use a page of it, I think you have the reason to use it today. It's a free of cost material, and so is the lunch. So let's go to the Flynn effect. So, why does intelligence go up and creativity go down? Because our ancestors, and interestingly, Homo sapiens, such as you and me, have been on the surface of Earth for close to about 200,000 years. That's about it. 200,000 years. Just to give a perspective to all of you, the age of the known universe is about 13.4 billion years. The age of Earth is 4.3 billion years. And now 2 million years is the age of the first primates, if you will. 200,000 years is how old we are. 11,000 years how old agriculture is. 5,000 years is perhaps when Ramayana was scripted. 2,500 years back, talking about 2,000 years back, Jesus Christ, 1,500 years, Allah, and 20 years. Plus time scale, 30 years. So if I divide this with this number, it's abysmally small number. We have been on the surface of Earth for an abysmally small time as compared to the surface of Earth. Abysmally small time. But most important fact is from this day onwards till this day, our brain is our brain is 1,250 grams in general. You can discount me there. In general, 1,250 grams. The brain of what we call as Neanderthals was 1,350 grams. You have lost 100 grams of weight. Actual weight of our brain has come down. Why? Why should our brains shrink? Our brains are shrinking, so it's a very scary thing. Our brains are actually shrinking. We lose, even in our generation, your child's brain will be smaller than your brain. Even at your age, obviously at birth, but at your age, it will be smaller than you. Why? Now, how do I put all these things together? So your child is more intelligent, the brain is smaller, the child is less creative, the child is more fragile. Put all these things together by understanding design thinking and the combination of these two terms. So first thing first, relationship between intelligence and creativity. But even before that, let us test how creative you are, shall we?
Yes.
First, let us test how intelligent you are, shall we?
Yes.
Simple test. No big deal there, simple test. All of you got a piece of paper and a pen?
Yes.
You can't do the test without a piece of paper and pen. Show it to me in your hand, piece of paper and pen. Sorry, including you. Show it to me. Neat and clean. Sir, please take a piece of paper and pen. Ma'am, take it. Good. Take a piece of paper and pen. Sir, take a piece of paper and pen. This is not going to serve you. Nobody's ever going to look at this video again. Paper and pen. There is a task. I will give you exactly 3 minutes, and in these 3 minutes, you will solve this problem. Give me 2 pieces of paper. Let us solve this problem, guys. Here is the problem. This is raw intelligence test. This is not math problem. Don't get freaked out. I know your math score. Not a math problem. Simple problem. Show me the piece of paper and pen. All of it. Pen. Don't outsource material, man. Okay? This is actual intelligence test. You would have never ever done this test in your life. You can remove your mask, man. He's safe. He looks otherwise, but he is safe. Shall we? Here's a test. Who will keep time? Who will keep time for me? Who will keep time for me? We need 3 minutes. You will keep time? How come your phone comes? Nah, I put it back. I'll keep time. two pieces of paper. You have to tell me 10 minimum 10 ways in which these two pieces of paper can be stuck with each other. 10 ways in which 10 mechanisms in which two pieces of paper can be stuck with each other. The time starts now. Write down 10 ways. Don't do anything. Just write down 10 ways in which these two pieces of paper can be stuck with each other. This is intelligence test. You have never ever done this test in your lifetime. You should be able to stuck these two paper together. Not permanently, even temporary stick is okay, but they should be stuck with each other like this. I've shown you one way. I can press them and they can be stuck. I can put my saliva and they can be stuck. I can use gum. I can use weight. I can use magnet. I can use air. I give you some answers. Now continue. Now, how's the deal? Keep going, keep going. How do you stick two pieces of paper? I can do this also. Right? We produce a static
energy.
and get it stuck.
Static energy.
Now think. This is where your intelligence will be shown to you. कि है क्या तुम? कितना मसाला है? It's raw intelligence. कुछ नहीं है इसमें. Nothing matters. It's pure intelligence. Ten or more than 10. Let's look at 15. Paper clip is another example. Put a paper clip. You can staple. I'm just giving ideas to you. And you can touch the paper, feel, sense, use multiple intelligence. Socho. It's a real interesting test. We'll show कि आप सोचता कितने हो. Really a thinker or you're just about there? How safe is your next generation? IQ wise. How will you make two pieces of paper stuck temporarily? Is the question. Can't be more clear than this. It's very simple. Do it in your class, teachers. It's a good mind opener. Start every class with a puzzle. You'll have good attendance. How are you on time? A minute to go maybe? How are you doing, ma'am? No one is interested in this exercise? Come then. A minute to go, guys. Think. Come in the sense, go there and sit and go. There's another test coming up on creativity, on intelligence. Anybody want supplementary sheet? Think. Think hard. No chatting, please. No chatting. Think hard. Okay, let's call it a day right now, and then I'll do another test. So, how many of you got 5 or more than 5 solutions? 10 or more than 10 solutions? 12 or more than 12 solutions? 12 or more than 12? How many? There? Ma'am? There? 13? 15? 15? 12? 15? Go ahead, mate. 15, tell me. Listen to him carefully.
Glue, pen, holding together, paper weight, filing, folding, crushing together, or
Crushing together is really cool idea. Never thought that. Crushing together is very interesting idea. Lovely.
keeping in the objects, keeping in books, staple, water, rice.
Wheat paste also.
Huh?
Make wheat paste also. I can supplement.
Yeah, wheat paste, yeah. I used to put this in the kites.
Yes.
Yes, making and
Rice.
making material like
Chawal ka
Nice.
na.
Rice.
Chewing gum. What else? Magnet. Magnet is a very good idea. I can put them between the
Both the
magnets, north,
magnets.
south, pole. And
Rice.
Rice.
Chocolate sugar.
heat them.
Sir, screws.
Screws. Like
Nail polish.
any liquid will fall under as one category, guys. Munch them. Sorry? I like that. Knotting them with there's a naughty eye here there. Very interesting. What else?
Sir, folding.
Holding.
Simple. I love it. It's a good one. Pouring sand on both papers. Love that. Now I've tested your intelligence. So intelligence means basically solving a problem with known knowledge. So intelligence is about solving a problem with known knowledge. So whatever you applied is a known knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Am I right? Known knowledge. So let me test your intelligence once again. Tell me what is coming up next. Good. Oh, hold on, ladies. What is coming up next? What is coming up next? Quick.
same.
Very good. What is coming up next? You. Okay, cool. Let's make it fast. What is coming up next? Close the bracket.
The same for
Yes. Yes, sir.
Close the bracket. This one.
Yes, sir.
Any other possibility?
Sir, you and reverse you.
the same symbol.
You became turn into N, sir.
No, sir, it is
That
fine.
one.
This.
No, sir. The closing bracket on before the last.
You. This one.
Same closing bracket.
This one.
You.
And what is coming next?
Dari andi.
Suppose this comes there. Let us for the sake of argument. What comes next?
Open again. N.
Okay, cool. So here you were quick in telling me what's coming next. Here you took some time, and here you took a little bit more time. And not many options came to me. Why? What is missing in this? Pattern. Lovely. Pattern. So what is intelligence? Intelligence is your ability to identify and predict a pattern. Am I right? Can you take this as a working definition of intelligence? Is it ability to predict and identify a pattern. Now, who is better than you in terms of identifying patterns? Machines. They do it for a living. Machines are very good at pattern identification. Even human beings, we love pattern identification, isn't it? Like constellations. Do you think these guys, so-called stars, which are billions of light years away, are really standing in a straight line? But we have a tendency of looking at common day objects and juxtaposing them in some random constellations to identify some pattern, isn't it? And this whole thing called coincidence in life is nothing but our own mental fallacies of identifying patterns. Isn't that true? We love patterns. We love patterns because patterns makes us feel secure, comfortable. Minus patterns, your mind is in overdrive. Your mind does not know what to do. So if intelligence is about finding a pattern, creativity is about, before that,
Being different.
exactly. Come again. Before that, before making a pattern is breaking the pattern. Breaking the pattern. Creativity is about. Do you think breaking the pattern is easy? Easy or tough? How tough? Very tough.
No, it is easier. We should not be within the same kind of thinking or not. That's why-
Provided, absolutely. Provided you are not in the same trap, it's easy. So all of you get up. Let me show you a pattern. Get up. Ladies and gentlemen, get up. put your hands like this. And see which hand comes above or in front.
Right.
My left, right, nothing genetic about it.
Right.
Mine is left, for example, left. Now this left-right thing, it doesn't have any utility. It has no utility. It has no evolutionary logic to it. It's not utility. It's not even practical in a way. Yet there is a pattern. Now relax, and in one move you have to put the other hand up. In one swift move. Try it again. Swift move. That's the other way around. Now how easy it is. Easy, difficult, takes some effort. Takes some effort. Sit down. Takes some effort. Now for something which is as innocuous as your folding of hands, which has no utility, your mind has a pattern, your body has a pattern, and this is what we call as, this is called muscle memory. What is this? Is called muscle memory. Your body has intelligence. Not only that your mind has intelligence, your body has intelligence. For example, you drive a car, switching the gears, putting your legs on accelerator, etc. This is bodily intelligence. It's not your mind, because the mind is talking to somebody else, maybe thinking about somebody else. Your body is about intelligence. Correct? So breaking pattern is very, very difficult. And the biggest problem with breaking patterns is that breaking a pattern comes at the cost of personal risk. The reason creativity is difficult is not because people don't have ideas. Creativity is not about generating ideas. Creativity is about expressing ideas. It's not generating ideas. It's about expressing ideas. Now people often ask this question to me that why are Westerners so creative and we are not? Even though we had a very rich history of creation, Aryabhatta, right, Pushpak Viman, if somebody may argue, zero, number system, our eloquent architectural marvels. Where have we lost all of this? We have lost it because we are not expressing our creativity. We don't express. We just don't express. हमें हमेशा लगता है कि शर्मा जी क्या सोचे? शर्मा जी क्या सोचे? शर्मा जी कुछ नहीं सोचे, क्योंकि शर्मा जी केवल शर्मा जी के बारे में, आपके बारे में नहीं सोचे. Nobody cares about you as much as you think they care about you. Okay? Nobody cares about you as much as you think they care about you. They care about themselves. So you care about yourself. If you have an idea, you damn very well express the idea. Otherwise, die with it without complaining. I've seen so many startup founders saying that it was my idea. Sorry, it doesn't matter it was your idea, but it was his execution. Because it was his execution, the guy has all the right to make money out of it. That's capitalism, my dear. You can't live in a capitalistic setup, require capitalistic salary increments and have a socialistic mindset. Ain't happening here. It's about expressing ideas. Now let me test you.
Aren't we led to believe that? Isn't it forced to us from a very young age?
Absolutely. That's very Indian tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? चुपचाप बैठना क्लास में, ज़्यादा सवाल मत पूछना. Because I think from our generation, and 2-3 reasons I can identify. It's a great question, ma'am. And 2-3 reasons I can identify for that. If I were to give a choice to my offspring to be underconfident or overconfident, what would I err on? Being underconfident or overconfident, if there was ever a choice like that, what would you err on? Which side would you go? Or not underconfident. Self-doubt is perhaps the biggest criminal when it comes to creativity. Self-doubt. ये होगा नहीं होगा, अरे ये होगा नहीं होगा, समय बताए. Shri Krishna said that. कर्म करो. Let me test how much guts you have to express an idea. Shall we do the test? Okay, another piece of paper. Everything is a paper and a pen. And do this test with your family members if they still tolerate you. After dinner, though. Okay?
You have taken the bottle.
Tell me, you want a pen? You want what? Water bottle?
Wait, I'm coming.
Water you want? Okay, let's start. Show me the piece of pen. I mean the pen and the piece of paper. Is this a real estate you have? Simple test. I'm going to show you an object. Okay? I'm going to show you an object and you have to write down as many users as you can put the object to. Fair enough? As many users as you can put the object to. The minimum that you need to do is 25. Okay? Don't start because you do not know what the object is. Okay? Let us do a small experiment as a warm-up exercise. Shall we?
Yes, sir.
Start. What can you do with this? Just tell me, don't write, tell me.
Close the
Close the bottle.
We can make it a toy out of it.
Toy,
Waste.
waste, toss, cannon, striker, carom, basket, circle, thread, yo-yo.
We can reprocess and make it as petrol again.
You know what? Ring. Hit somebody. Ball. Okay. Okay, top. Cricket. Door stopper. What else can I do with
Hit
this?
someone.
Hit. Toss. Spin. Now let us look at the funny thing. It was such a common thing that almost everybody would have seen this in your lifetime. Nobody said, oh my God. What is this? Oh my God. Where did that from? And yet only a quarter of the team sitting here spoke. Why didn't others speak? What those who spoke stupid stuff nonetheless. There was nothing profound in it. There was no enlightenment. Oh my God, there was nothing enlightening in this conversation nonetheless. Because it was a stupid question that demanded stupid answers. And yet people don't have the capacity to be stupid. That's threatening. You're taking yourself way too seriously. And you're the only one who is doing that. The bedrock phenomena of creativity, guys and girls, is that don't take yourself seriously. And the reason you should not take yourself seriously is because nobody is taking you seriously. What's the big deal there? It's fleeting. What we are forgetting to understand is that everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Hasn't COVID taught you even this much? It's so fleeting, guys. It's so fleeting. You know how many guys die every day in this country? How many people die every day in this country? What are you busy with? Attendance, is it? Trust me, it's not that important. Trust me. Okay, don't bother them with attendance. So creativity and 36,000 people talk about creativity. You are looking at today is not the day for attendance. If I am mentally present, I am more than happy. Unless you are rewarding them to be present in the cash awarding. So if you are not having the capacity to be stupid, you can't have the capacity to be creative. Because creativity often requires you to take an illogical step. If you're not capable of that, what's the point, man? The question was how many people die in this country every day? Just stop the attendance crap right there. Stop that, clear it off. How many people die in this country every day? Too many people is a good answer. 30,000 people. 30,000 people die every day in this country. Do you know that? You got swayed by this COVID statistics, but the fact, minus COVID also, there are 30,000 people dead in this city and in this country every day. How many of you can vouch for it that that number doesn't include you tomorrow? Just because you have an important meeting there. Tomorrow is not a good day to die. I have an early morning meeting tomorrow. It ain't happening tomorrow. That's how fleeting the world is, guys. So stop taking yourself seriously, okay? If you have an idea, don't die with it in your chest. Spit it out. You'll know it is wrong. And you move on to another idea. What's the big deal in that? Right? I mean, and please, so one of the fashionable things today that we have in this country is that people come and they blame education system for lack of freedom. I have so many parents asking me that what should school do, what should colleges do to make the child creative. I said, hold on, mate. Your child is with you for more amount of time than he or she is the teacher. And to hell with the education system. If you can have a creative household, the child will be way too creative. Parents can't outsource child development to a third party. I mean, you can't. This has been my constant grip with this current generation, that you are solving the world's problem from morning till late night, and you are not solving the problem of the person who is very suspenseful.